You don't have time, I don't have time. 900 calorie chicken Alfredo with 95 grams of protein. So let's get into it. Ingredients needed, we're gonna need 4.5 pounds of chicken breast, 5 to 7 servings of mixed frozen veggies, 375 to 400 grams of rice, and a sauce of your choosing, today being Alfredo. Additional requirements, we're gonna need 1 large pan, 2 large mixing bowls, 2 pairs of tongs, a spatula, cutting board, knife, an air fryer, a way to cook your rice, and a way to store the food. Food alone, this comes out to be $17.32. Dividing this into our 5 servings gives us $3.47 per meal, which is a pretty cheap meal. If we wanted to drop that price down just a little bit more, what we can always do is take those numbers and divide it into 7 servings instead of that 5. And what that does is it brings that price down to $2.48 per meal. Gotta love them cheap. Starting things off strong, we're gonna start by cutting our chicken breast. We're gonna begin this process by cutting off any unwanted fats or tendon tissues. Anything awkward, just cut it right out and we can throw it right in the trash. Once we have our meat down to bare bones, we are going to begin putting vertical cuts into the chicken. Once we have those vertical cuts, we are going to take each one of those slices and we are going to cut them into smaller pieces. The goal by the end of this is to have a nice small piece of chicken that we can toss into our mixing bowl. When our chicken is all cut up and put in the mixing bowl, we're gonna add a little bit of olive oil, and this is where we can add any seasoning. The typical seasonings that I like to add: Lowry's seasoning salt, adobo, garlic powder, onion powder, and a little bit of cumin. We're gonna mix that up, and then we're gonna put it into our air fryer. We're gonna put that chicken in there at 400 degrees for 8 minutes at 2 rounds, and that chicken's gonna come out perfectly cooked. This may take a few batches depending on how much chicken you have and how big your air fryer is. For me, on average, it takes 2 batches. While we wait for that chicken to cook, we're gonna head over to our rice and get that started. We're going for 300 calories of rice for 5 days, which is gonna bring us to a total of 1,500 calories. Depending on the brand, 375 to 400 grams of Jasmine rice is about 1,500 calories, or about 2 cups on average. Right here is where we would typically rinse and strain the rice, but I'm a dirty little gremlin, so I'm just gonna put in my water now. I go for a 1.5 to 1 ratio, so 2 cups of rice, 3 cups of water. Once we add the water in there, we're just gonna press cook and on to our next step. The final thing we're gonna cook today is our veggies. We're gonna take that large pan and add 5 to 7 servings of frozen vegetables. Bird's Eye California blend frozen veggies typically comes in a bag of about 22 servings. So just for easy sake, I just do 7 servings instead of 5 because that's gonna be about a bag every 3 weeks. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a third of that bag into that pan, put a little bit of olive oil, add some seasonings, and we're gonna let those things fry. Once it has a nice char sear, we're just gonna take the pan off the hot stove and put it aside. About this time, all of our ingredients are gonna be ready to plate, so let's start plating them. The first thing I'm gonna do is take our clean mixing bowl that we still have. If we are trying to weigh our food, this would be a great time to zero out that bowl. But for our sake, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna put all that chicken in there, mix in some of that Alfredo, mix it up, and then we're gonna put it into our containers. I've been doing this for a while now, so I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of what each serving is supposed to look like. I would recommend trying weighing it out for the first couple times that you do it, just so you get an idea of how big your serving is supposed to be. Once we finish up with that chicken, we're gonna do the exact same thing with the rice. I like to add it into that same mixing bowl because it's gonna have a little bit of Alfredo. Then we're gonna, once again, evenly disperse it into all of our containers. And finally, we're gonna top things with our vegetables. Right about now, once I have everything evenly put out, I put on the top of the containers as fast as possible just to trap in as much moisture as possible. That way, whenever we're going at it on day 5, it's not gonna be too dry for us. As Chef Noah finishes up those lunches, I'm gonna reel you back in so we can talk about the importance and the versatility of this meal. This is an amazing meal prep to get started with. Chicken, rice, and veggies are the cornerstone of meal preps. What makes this meal so versatile is how much control you have over the calories. If you're looking for that cut, you can easily just split those 5 servings into 7 instead, and you can lessen up that rice to really drop down that calorie count. If you're trying to bulk, that 900 calories is a really good number for our meals. Obviously, we're looking for that 1,000, so pairing it with a banana or even like a small glass of milk will get us there. And best of all, whenever you start to get sick of it, you can just change up the flavoring. Instead of Alfredo, you can use barbecue sauce, or you can play around with a honey barbecue. There's so many different things that we can add to this. Taking a step back and looking at the numbers perspective of things, this meal has 95 grams of protein, 81 grams of carbs, and 18 grams of fat, which is an insane ratio of protein to fat. A ratio like this is extremely important for somebody that's trying to lose weight, trying to hit that cut, as protein has the highest satiety of all 3 macros. Along with that, maintaining high protein in a deficit is crucial to minimizing the amount of muscle mass that we lose. So think about it. It's cheap, it's filling, it's very high in protein, and it can be used for both cut and bulk purposes. So for those that say, I can't, it's too expensive. It's just not gonna be enough food for me. I just don't think this fits my dietary goals. I think it's time to eat up.